This is now the 5-minute tarot for the 21st of February 2017. And today's card is going to be the Five of Wands or the Five of Batons. And if we look at the card, we see these five young fellows probably outside, and they've got a baton. Each one of them has a baton in their hand, and they're sort of shaking it, or maybe they're trying to get themselves psyched up to do something, or they're getting ready for battle or something like that. There's activity going on, and maybe there's a lot of hustle and bustle and noise and maybe some yelling, but not a lot is actually being accomplished, I think, when we look at this particular card. So what do we make of it? We've got a small group here, 5 people. And so it may be that the question or the answer revolves around there being a number of people involved, right? So we get 5, or a small group of people either has an influence on the answer or are going to be affected by the answer. So it's not just a single individual, although the 5 batons and the 5 people can represent 5 different or several different ideas within the same individual, or positions that they might want to take. So they can have ideas or opinions about something, but there isn't a single unifying thought at this point. Maybe there will be later. If you pick a card for the future, you might find it there. But at this point, we seem to have multiple possibilities or different ideas or different opinions, each wanting to have an input or have a say. So we've got, maybe there's conflict. It depends. Conflict can sound harsh and awkward and dangerous, but if we understand that we've got different positions that want to some extent to have input or to have a say. So maybe with the 5 of batons, and this can be 5 thoughts inside your own head or inside the head of the questioner, or it can be a group of different people who are involved. But it may be that we look at this card, and because we've got competition going on in the picture, maybe there's a need for harmony. Or that's the challenge of this card. Can you come up with a single course of action? But at this point, if we look at the card itself, we've got, at this point, it's discussion or presenting arguments or debating or putting forth and examining the strengths and weaknesses of different points of view, either within the self or between different people. At this point, we look at it and we've got the activity in the card and the people. There's no clear leader, I think, or direction at this point. So this can mean that because there's no clear leader, you're going to need multiple plans or backups to cover various eventualities, right? So that if somebody wants to know, what do I do? And you get the 5 of batons, you figure out 3 or 4 different things that you might do, rather than expect at this point to find the one course of action. Because it can be that there's value in examining different possibilities, because then you come to an understanding of what's the right thing to do. So at this point, we're sort of examining possibilities rather than having decided what's right. Because with this 5 of batons, the future isn't certain, because we don't know which of the 5 or more points of view is going to overcome, is going to win, we can say. So maybe what we do with this card is we need to look for the card for the future. So is there a decisive person in the future? Is somebody there who's going to take charge or make a decision? So a card in the future that shows a decision maker, if it's upright, then a decision will be made and it'll be a good one. But if the card is reversed, the decision is probably going to mean trouble. So you may have to you may need a fallback position, or have an alternative in place for your own benefit or for your own sake, so that if somebody makes a decision and it's a bad one, or turns out to be a bad decision, you're not going to be sucked into the problem or drowned along with the other people. And if by thinking about, okay, we've got the 5 of Batons, which is competition among different possibilities, it makes us think about the nature of other cards. Because we can think, okay, we need a decision maker. What card would show a decision maker? And we're looking at not just a king or the emperor, but it can get us thinking and seeing sides of other cards that we may not have or other sides that we may not have considered for other cards. Because that 2 of Batons, the fellow standing on top of the tower, looks like he's dependable and knows what's going on. So that can be a card of showing decision making, or a decision maker. Or the 3 of Batons as well. Somebody's made decisions, maybe not ultimate decisions, but they've taken a stand and they've sent it out there. Or maybe the 3 of Coins is another card that shows decision making, because you've got the pair of the 2 people maybe discussing and coming to a conclusion, but you've also got the skilled craftsman on the left-hand side. So here, if you have the 3 of Coins in the future, it should be okay that a good decision will be made. Or maybe the Ace of Swords would show a decision maker. And then if you need a decision maker with the 5 of Batons, and the card for the future is a decision making card but reversed, then it probably means that the decision that's going to be made will be on the right lines, but it needs a bit of work, rather than there's going to be a bad outcome. Because this is one way of thinking about reverse cards, because if we're looking for decisiveness, let's say we've got the 2 of Batons, right, and it's decisive. So if the 2 of Batons is reversed in the future, there's decisiveness in the card, but it's upside down, so it's not quite right. So maybe think again, or have some more input. The reversed 2 of Batons in the future isn't saying there is no decisiveness, because there's decisiveness in the card, but it's not quite right, rather than being the 2 of Batons, there's no decisiveness anywhere near it. So the 2 of Batons reversed would mean no decisiveness. That's not what's going on with the reverse card. You look at what's there in the card and then say, okay, it's there, but it's not quite right, rather than it's not even there in the first place. Okay, that's probably a bit long, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so until tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.